has.
Because I've never received a gift from anyone that's supposed to be in the car zone that I've not had to act about when I receive it.
But the noise, when it obviously it only goes out when they go testing, like we go to Brands Hatch or Donington, they go out in Falmouth Bay. Usually when it's flat, not much wind. So the whole of the Western Atlantic can sort of hear it.
You've just told the most beautiful stories. And the first thing I've got written on my piece of paper here is a demolition ball thingy.
Hello and welcome to the Collecting Addicts podcast, episode number Valentino
46.
Rossi 46.
40 for Rossi.
Christmas
Okay.
special.
This is our last episode before the Christmas break. We might take a week off, depends how we feel. Everyone's saying we won't do one next week, but we are after all addicts, and I bet we'll have a need to share some shite with you before then. With me is Neil Clifford, Manish Pandey, Chris Cooper, and Edward Lovett. Two of us are drinking. You'll work out who they are probably around about the halfway point. The agenda this week is as follows. Well, we'll start with the first point.
Yeah.
It's got a Christmas theme. What's the perfect Christmas gift for an addict, real or imaginary? One of us has just dashed all the way back from London, is a bit frantic because his Wi-Fi isn't working, and he probably won't want to be pinned first. So, Neil Clifford, you can go first.
I'm happy to be pinned first because I dream of this gift. And when my wife says to me, "You're so bloody difficult to buy. You know, everything you like, you just buy for yourself anyway. So what's the point of having presents?" But this present doesn't exist, but I'd love it to. It's the tool for the car addict that does everything. I'd need it to be a brand that we know, like a Snap-on. So I don't.
Just as we got Christmas.
He wants a snap-on. He wants a snap-on.
It looks like Kenneth Williams, who's just delivered a naughty. Right, so
we need to keep that pose in.
Okay,
Yeah,
Neil.
keep that
We don't. The last thing you said was snap-on. So go back to that point.
Or strap-on, one of the two.
I think Ed's got a Snap-on his desk.
Yeah, sort
But
of.
we'll come to that later. So this thing is a Swiss Army knife for men and cars and vintage cars and cars with drama. So it has an air pump, of course. You can check your cars to pump them up. It's got a charger, so you can if you're bloody, I don't know, Alpha GTC's battery's dead, you can just connect the little red and black cables. And it's a booster. It's also a trickle charger as well as a booster. It's a defroster. So it's got a little more do most mornings, and you're all frosty, and you don't know where your de-ice has gone, and you don't want to wake up the whole family by revving the engine for 10 minutes to get rid of the ice. It warms the windscreen, and you can just get rid of that ice. It's also got a little Hoover.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so if someone annoyingly has got in with a bag of wheat crunchies and you're trying to be too polite to not tell them to eat the fucking things outside of my car, for God's sake, you've got a little Hoover. You've also got some wet wipes, because how annoying is it when you get to the petrol station, your old banger, and you think, oh shit, I should check the oil. And
Nothing
the
to wipe it
bin
on.
that's supposed to have, bits of paper in doesn't.
Empty.
So you can pull out a little wet wipe, and also you can polish your dash at the same time as you're driving along to get rid of all of the dust.
You don't want a dusty dash.
No, exactly. So I think it's not been invented yet, not even by those weird brands no one's ever heard of on Amazon, like Tangyoi and Ping Yao and all of those brands that we look up you're looking to buy an air pump and the Snap-on one is 90 quid and there's like 1,000 of them for £8.99. I'd want a brand that I trust. It's not going to break in 10 minutes and it does all those things for me at once. And please, can someone tell me that thing exists and I'd like it for Christmas?
Well, you're going to get
Okay.
it because this is our imaginary world. And you've said something at the end there that's really important for me. It's got to be a brand that I trust. So can we just take 5 minutes to discuss the brands that we trust? Because I've just been filming with my house husband, Neil Carey, today. And he's obsessed with 2 brands. They're the only 2 brands that he trusts in the world. If they build anything, he'll trust it. And they are Sony and Honda. Those are the only 2 things in the world he trusts. So what would you add to those 2 brands as brands that you trust?
I'd add Apple.
Apple.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. We use Apple. Well, it depends how long you want it to last.
Yeah.
Trust, yes. Last, different question.
Yeah, okay. Good point.
I think you'd add DeWalt.
Would you?
Yeah.
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 I'd add DeWalt.
Yeah. I quite
quite-
like that other famous brand called Ring.
Ring.
Now, I've got a
The
Ring.
doorbells.
No, not the bloody doorbell thing. Google's.
Oh, yeah,
bought
the
that.
electrical components.
Yes, because Google have bought Rings. So you don't want that because they're looking in your house the whole time.
Yeah.
I think ring as in the air pumps. I've had one for 9 years. I've left it outside in the wet, in the frost. It's never broken. It's bloody fantastic. Snap-on. I like Snap-on.
Yeah, I like Snap-on. What's the, how do I
American.
pronounce the German car wash? Libra, yeah.
Yeah. Libra.
Oh, they're quite good. Those washer
I
things.
used to trust Karcher, but I've now realised that actually they can be quite hit and miss.
Oh, they could be
Who's got one of those? I think
Yeah.
they're a bit life-changing.
Nocco's good.
The little lithium pack with the light on the end of it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a bit special. That I think it's
It's good.
Got a torch and everything.
Look at that. That's like if you do it like that, it could be the Millennium Falcon's arse. Look at that.
Yeah.
But that's half of what my thing is. It just needs all the other bits as well.
Do you think yours would have a little secret jet wash as well?
Ugh.
Yes.
I think it
Yes.
would. Yeah.
Because if you go on Amazon and you search for car air pumps and there's Ring there, but then you've got Wind Gallop, Scoothy, Astro AI,
Yeah.
Saitung.
I think
these
Wind
brands-
Gallop. Wind Gallop must be the Nicola of
Yeah.
car gadgets. Did you see he went to prison this week?
CHN.
Who?
They're all
Trevor Milton.
terrible, these brands. Don't buy any of them.
What about Boeing or Airbus? We put quite a lot of faith in those, don't we? When
Oh,
we
I like
put
those
themselves
two
up in the air.
They're great brands. Both
I'm
of
not
those
sure I
brands.
trust their morals, but I do trust them to keep me in the air. There's
Yeah,
some
they do
things
that.
really.
I don't
Okay,
know
Edward.
a McDonnell Douglas air pump.
Edward
They're
Lovett.
Boeing now.
Perfect Christmas gift for an addict.
Well,
Real or imaginary?
I'm going to be a bit sensible, but I have written my Santa list here.
Oh, have you? Good. Did you
Dear
not give it?
Santa.
Did you not give it to your daddy when he came through?
Dear Santa, I would like this year a tank of fuel,
Yep.
some new tires,
Yep.
a service, some PPF,
Steady.
and a year's insurance for my brand new Range Rover, which I don't have a brand new Range Rover, but I think there will be lots of people asking for a year's insurance from Santa Claus for new Range Rovers.
Yeah. I think you'd like, if you had a new Range Rover, you'd like a large dog as well.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
probably the dog, yeah, but I'm not sure if the insurance company would like that. I'd still.
And a medium length piece of chain.
Yes.
I had a bit of intel on that. I asked someone a question about that, about when a Land Rover going to sort this problem out. Sorry, Range Rover. And apparently it's the very latest ones being delivered are harder to nick. It's the ones that were built last year that are hard to nick.
Oh,
I mean,
it's just
Well, I think if you try to nick a brand new one, you would get very confused because there's literally no buttons in it. I'm not sure
No
you'd know
buttons.
what to do.
yeah.
there's no,
Yes.
not even a little twiddly knobby thing for the
Yeah,
heater.
but it's a bit like me with my secret word that I used to say when I saw lights in the rearview mirror when they were changing. You have to say a secret word when you get into a Range Rover. And what do you think that word is, Neil Clifford?
maybe it's something.
It's a Christian name of someone who might have been involved in the design process.
Yes, no, I get.
Yeah. Gerard. It would have to be. It's Gerard, not Jerry.
Okay,
We've been
Manish,
told.
what's the perfect Christmas gift for an addict? Neil Clifford, your connection is weak at the moment. We're struggling. You keep
Yes.
freezing.
I'm going to be using my phone.
Good,
and
like
my laptop
you go and get yourself sorted out, and then we can have you back. Manish,
Manish has also
Christmas
added a new
Yeah.
poster behind him. He's out of the other room he was in. He's Lucky is now featuring on the wall behind.
Yeah.
him.
There we go.
So, very observant. I was thinking about the fact that we all talked about our favorite confectionery in cars, and we had orange Tic Tacs are not available. Certain forms of Haribo. My personal favorites are the Little Werther's original. So, do you remember the days when you used to have a CD changer in the boot of a car? Yeah, that's kind of how it worked. What I'd like is a box about that big with a really clever, completely hermetically sealed air pump. And what it does is you just fill the thing with your sweeties. And where your cigarette lighter is and where your cigar lighter is, right? What you do is you press a button, which is where your cigar lighter is, and the ashtray opens and one sweet is delivered. And this
Not
thing,
enough.
if the sweet is wrapped, it takes the wrapping off as well. It's just clever. And you just reach down in England with your left hand. If you're on the continent, you do it with your right hand. You just put this sweet in your mouth.
Oh, I tell you what, that's got legs. That has got, and also, if I was Rolls Royce or one of these uber luxury brands, I'd be thinking that's something for our special customers.
Yes.
I'd
You
like
can tell
to
I've
see
been
that
in the
in
Middle East recently, haven't you?
But also, do you remember back in the day when you go to C&A and they'd put the money in that air thing and they'd lock it up and they'd fire? I want to see the sweet arrive.
Yes.
It's just a little puff of it. You can imagine the Bentley salesman, can't you? Press that button, sir. You go like, everything opens. There's a Werther's original.
It is potentially open to abuse, Manish. It has to be said, because I certainly know that if Edward was looking after my Bentley, I might find some rabbit droppings or other sundry bits of crap he'd found on the street corner.
No. For the Lovett household, you'd also have one for the rear seats. Okay, you have to remember that double piping.
Oh, I like this. I like this. This is a great invention. I like it. Well, there you go. Christmas is sorted. Santa's a very lucky man. Chris Cooper. Other than another bottle of slow gin. Oh, Neil Clifford's gone again. He'll be back soon. Chris Cooper, what would you have for the perfect Christmas gift for an addict?
I can recommend this delicious bottle of slow gin from the Dorranbury estate near St Albans.
You said delicious.
He's a massive drinker. He's not even got to the fat bit of the bottle.
Very tasty. Every addict of every sort should have one of these. There's a lot here to get through, so bear with me. So I actually went for actual presents that exist.
Go on.
So it's a public service, and we are Broadchurch. So there is a range. I've got a range in here of, I think any addict would enjoy any of these presents. I think tickets to the Festival of Speed would be a nice Christmas Day surprise for any addict going to the Festival of Speed. But I think the thing that 20 years ago, what I'd have really liked for Christmas, because I was an addict, was a season of catering racing.
Oh, that's a generous present, that, isn't it?
That's a generous one.
I'd have liked a season of catering racing, please, Santa.
Yeah.
What are we looking at in kind of sterling for this?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, Manish.
Yeah.
Do back then versus now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, actually, the boys and I had this conversation just now, because what we looked at was the price of doing the Caterham Academy. So if you're an addict, but you haven't done any racing, and you've just got your license and you've got the ARDS thing, then the Caterham Academy is car. You get entry to all of the races. You get a bit of trackside support. If you break things, you know which way to put somebody help you with some spanners. You've got to get the car there and back. You can drive it or put it on a trailer. So for 24, all in price of that, including the car, I think it's about 37 grand. And about 20 odd years ago, it must have been 20 something, I think.
That's
pretty good value.
Very good
Yeah.
value.
So I have to
That's
say,
very good
it's
value.
an awful lot of fun, and you get to keep the car afterwards. And then you can add to the car and do the bigger series and bigger engines. So you get 4 or 5 years racing out of it. So the other thing I thought about, because I quite like to go there again, the below zero Tut Hill ice driving, I think would be a super So, Richard Tupson, if you're listening, that would be a super Christmas present for a podcast presenter.
Edward, can you look at your messages quickly? Sorry, because
Just saying.
we need Johnny to let Neil back in.
Okay, well, Johnny should be there listening, but
Neil is currently he is in an imaginary world. He's knocking on a door saying, "Can I come back in to see my pals?"
Johnny, can you let Neil back in, please?
Is that actually connected to anything?
It is, yes. These are unedited podcasts, let us tell you.
If Johnny's gone out, then we're in trouble here. I think so. So are we pleading with Uncle Richard to give us that as a present?
Yeah, because he asked me for a favour this week, and I favoured him. So it seems like a fair trade.
I don't like the use of the verb like that, but I can understand where you're coming from. Right. I'm now going to answer this in a really, really boringly Victorian, straightforward way. The clue is in the question here, or the clue is in what we've been asked. What's the perfect gift? What's the perfect Christmas gift for an addict? I'll say it again. What's the perfect Christmas gift for an addict, real or imaginary? And I think Neil Clifford touched on it. Being addicts, we're so into our subject, you shouldn't really go there. You should only go there if it's in collaboration with the person you're buying for, or you should only go there if you're absolutely certain it's the right thing to buy, because you're probably dealing with someone with whom you're going to get it wrong. You're going to do all the right things. You're going to be lovely. It's going to be sent with love. It's going to be researched with love, but it'll probably be wrong through no fault of your own, because we're weirdos. You're not the weirdo. We're the weirdo. Okay? So I think my honest answer to this is don't, because I've never received a gift from anyone that's supposed to be in the car zone that I've not had to act about when I receive it. I've had to go, oh, that's great, but I'm thinking, yeah, but I know there's a slightly better one than that, or that one isn't quite right. And you can never, ever, ever say that out, openly, because you come across as an awful human being, and you would be an awful human being. So you tend to look at it and think, more often than not, you think, actually, that's a good idea. Didn't think I needed one of them. I'll wait until a couple of weeks and I'll buy the good version of that. I just don't think that's acceptable. So what I'd say is this: buy a really good bottle of champagne, because champagne is a wonderful drink. It makes any situation better. And I think a good bottle. Don't buy anything with an orange label that's got Moet written on it, because that you shouldn't even clean your tools with that shite.
No.
But go and buy some really good champagne and sit down and insist that you share it with that person. Right then, don't leave it with them. Share it with them. And then let that person sit and explain why they asked for champagne. It's because they're impossible to buy for, because they're a spoiled addict. That's my answer to that question.
So,
how lovely.
Good answer. So, if I, for Christmas, said, Monkey, we're going to go in February, we're going to go for 3 days to...
No, you've twisted it. You're talking about an addict buying for an addict. That never happens in the home situation. In the home situation, it's always an adult, a functioning adult, buying for an addict. And then they always get it wrong. And that's not fair on them.
Oh, he loves Ferraris. I might buy him a bright red Ferrari jacket that says Ferrari across the front, so he can drive it to work in his Ferrari.
Can you imagine?
The umbrella. It's the umbrella. Can
you imagine trying to buy something for Neil Clifford that's Kari? Yeah, I mean, but you can imagine researching. You go, I found these on eBay. I found the best top trumps on eBay. They're the rarest ones ever. I got them sent from the Philippines, where there was this person that was, and then Neil would go, yeah, I've got 3 sets of them already. I mean, it's going to happen. Right. We're still Santa themed. By the way, I say Santa because it's quicker, but he is Father Christmas. Do we agree?
Yes.
Good. Right.
Yes.
If Father Christmas is an addict, describe his perfect sleigh. Nothing
his kill.
No.
Oh, interesting. I'm not sure I read that. Describe it. Interesting. I've just chosen a car, but I might have to bimp it out.
Yeah, describe his perfect sleigh. Okay, well, Edward, you need some time just to chamfer your answer. So we'll go with Manish first.
Okay, so I only have the word Santa's perfect sleigh. And I had to think about this. I thought there are 2 parts to this kind of intergalactic comet, aren't there? There's the sleigh part, and then there's what's drawing it. And since we are a bunch of addicts, I think there are 8 cars, and they're tugging a Saab 900 from the mid-'80s, because that is the closest thing.
Interesting word.
I think that's what they look like. It's a brown Saab from the mid-'80s. A Saab like convertible. So Santa's in this. And then, do you remember in Ben-Hur, when Charlton Heston's kind of there with the rich bloke who's got the horses, he goes, now watch as they go around this corner. The chariot's going to spin over because the horses on the outside are much faster than the horses on the inside. So when they go there, and it does. And he goes, gosh, you know lots about horses. So I thought, what you have to have are 8 perfectly matched cars in kind of a 2x2 formation.
Ooh.
And so this is what I did. I decided Santa's Saab 900 from the mid-'80s, convertible brown, would be pulled by very, very dark blue 70s wedge cars. And this is how they pair, okay?
Wow.
So we are replacing Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen, and Rudolph with, on the front row, a Countach LP400 and a Berlinetta Boxer. Perfectly matched.
Nice.
Right behind them is a Maserati Bora, and next to that is an Urraco P300, a Lamborghini Urraco P300. Behind them is a Maserati Camzin paired with a Ferrari Daytona. And behind that, you have the Stratos and the Merak SS. That's what you have. You have this.
I want that collection of cars.
Yeah.
You
All
have
in dark
this
blue.
Italian wedge pulling out. Now, just a quick point on, my brother-in-law told me this, the eminent cardiologist, huskies pulling sledges in Alaska. There's a little bit of a detail they don't give you. Apparently, huskies, and this is important for Santa, when you get pulled by huskies in Alaska, the reason why you have that great big leather tarpaulin is they eat and eat and eat and eat and eat.
And they shit.
When they start running, they just shit.
Yeah.
And
Horrible.
you just have absolutely gallons of shit.
And it smells. I've done this. It just smells of poo wherever you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think Santa.
Need goggles.
Need your goggles on.
we got
Husky shirt goggles on.
That's fine. No shit in
cars
my
with
eyes.
4 exhausts each. Okay, I think Santa's wearing some form of gas mask. Okay, that's the only thing I would say. So that
I think Santa is into scatological behaviour.
Yeah.
up and down the chimney he goes.
He does. Right, Manish, I have to say that's an excellent answer. I just wish you'd put some more thought into it.
Yeah. You should have made some more time this week, Manish. This is a serious endeavour.
Right, my answer now. I'm going to go last here because my answer isn't quite as clever as that one.
No, mine isn't either.
Edward, why don't you follow that one?
Fine. Well, whilst he was saying that, I was thinking, how can I be less clever? So I said, one of those Toyota Alphards is going to be the answer. I'm going to use an Alphard once a week in some form.
You're the only person who will.
Yeah.
How good would that go in Lapland?
I've chosen a car, and I thought it was the perfect car. But I'm not really describing the sleigh, but I actually just think a 1930s Bentley 4.5 litre open tourer is probably the right type of vehicle for Santa, because vast in the back, all the presents can get in there. I think that would be Santa's sleigh.
Nice.
Yeah, I think so. Because Santa to me is a bit of Falstaffian character. He's got a big white beard, drives around like that. He's basically like Neil Clifford was 18 months ago when he was carrying a few more pounds.
Yeah.
Right, Neil Clifford, you're the next up.
Mine's very simple. He's getting the best. He's going to give the reindeer a year off. Right? The poor bastards have been doing it for like 2,000 years. They're gonna go to Mauritius for Christmas,
The famous reindeer.
like every other
They're not
person.
going to feel warm there at all.
Like every other
All
person
inclusive.
at the minute. And he's going to have the best, coolest, not the best, 4x4. It's obviously the Ferrari.
The FF.
Yeah, he's going to have an FF in, I suppose in red, really, a Rosso Corsa FF, because you can then see it in the sky. And it's going to look sort of a bit Coca-Cola lorry type vibe.
Oh, I love that advert.
Yeah, it's good.
I think we might be getting close to our We might get our close first yellow card here. Neil Clifford, you are endangering the happiness of billions of children worldwide because an FF is not likely to make this journey. They rarely complete journeys, as you
they
tell us.
do.
So you're telling us that you're going to
them.
risk the happiness of all these children because it's going to get as far as Belgium and then the front gearbox is going to shit itself.
Yeah.
I'll
The
tell you, I'll
poor-
get
yeah.
ahead of Ed in his 4-litre Bentley, unless it's a Bob Peterson, because they never break down. But all the real ones that do break down. I think if you drive an FF a lot, it doesn't break down.
Okay.
even
Dear
when it's got
children
puncture.
of West Coast America, unfortunately, the FF is on the Route 66 with a broken front differential.
Yeah.
Get you next year.
No, that's all a myth. Cars don't break down. All this like winter tires and breakdowns is all bollocks.
Wish people could see our WhatsApp group, Neil.
Just drive them. Just drive them.
Right. Chris Cooper.
Right. So you're all wrong. I should know because I have a rocking reindeer in my office.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at that.
His head moves and everything.
That looks like a fire risk to me.
Yeah. So actually, his nose has gone a bit dull.
He looks like he's
I
being
think-
abused slow
I think
motion.
the dog chewed it. So we had a chat earlier on. So Rudolph, what do you reckon? The 650? Yeah. Okay. So apparently, what Rudolph says is because the sleigh has got to be capacious. It's got to have lots of space in it for all the presents for children. Because otherwise, the NORAD Santa tracker. Does anyone know the NORAD Santa tracker? You ever seen
Yes.
that?
It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So the NORAD Santa tracker, which sort of spools up all of those numbers, that's a lot of presents. So I think for a sleigh, if you're an addict, if Santa was an addict, I think he'd have a multi-purpose, capacious vehicle. So I think he'd have a Brian James Race Transporter 6 trailer.
Yeah.
You know, with the open top panels at the top. I quite like one of those as well for my Christmas, please, Brian James. He'd have one of those, and I think because he's got a lot of ground to cover. I think I like the idea of the 8 wedge cars. And unfortunately, I didn't have as much time this week as managed to think about it. So I had one vehicular towing device. I had a Gulfstream 650. I reckon that would do the trick. Gulfstream 650 towing a Brian James Race Transporter 6.
Pretty
That's,
good.
By the way,
Give
to
Rudolph,
those
give
who are
Rudolph
like me
a
and not
slightly
into
dull
that's an
nose
aeroplane.
the weekend
That's a
off.
little aeroplane.
It's
That's
an
a little
aeroplane.
aeroplane, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I do.
Okay. I think that's
Oh,
everyone.
hang on, I've got another one. Or he'd have
He's getting the cards out.
one of those.
What is that?
That's an,
Yellow.
that's an Arctic truck.
Which one?
6-wheeler Arctic truck, that.
Yeah,
Is that
I
the
can,
Top
yeah, I
Gear
can
one?
count two. Which model is it though?
Oh, don't be
Hilux.
such a
Hilux.
It's
pedant.
the RT80 44 6-wheel.
Yeah, you can keep
That's what
talking.
you'd have.
Right, you're writing your name down. You're being booked for that, Cooper. Right, Cooper.
Still funnier in the front.
I think you should
Cooper.
remonstrate.
What's
Right, here we
yours,
go.
Christopher?
VAR.
Right. So I've looked at this slightly more simply because I acknowledge the magic of Christmas means that you don't need to think about who's towing what and load capacity because it happens. That's part of the magic. It happens. You don't need to know where they store it all because it happens because of the little people and the reindeers and that's why it's all magical for little people. And that's why Christmas, when there aren't little people around, is utterly shite. Right, here we go. So I'm going to say that I had a chat with his nibs and his big beard and his fat tubby wife, and he's gone because he's from the West Country, because he's always he's a bit of bunker, isn't he? He's gone, I want a fast estate car, but I don't like this automatic stuff. I'm a manual man through and through, Chris.
Is he from Somerset?
He is, yeah.
Yeah,
So he's going, and I will stop the accent now. He wants a manual, very fast estate car. There aren't many. So he's gone, and I thought this was controversial because I have one.
That's
and it
me.
picked up on me. It's an E34 M5 Touring because he wants a manual. Okay.
Nice.
And he's into that era as well. He doesn't mind the fact that those cars always smell a bit like candle wax inside because
They smell a bit of damp reindeer, don't
They
they?
smell of candles. They smell of wax, which is odd.
Damp reindeer.
So for me, it's an E34 M5 Touring, but I'm not going to think about the peripherals because that just happens. That's the magic of it all. Right.
So, actually, quick question. Talking about Santa and his addiction, what do you think Santa's favorite Christmas movie would be?
Ooh.
Ooh.
There's only one.
Home
Only
Alone.
one.
He
Home
can't
Alone.
be in it. He can't be in it.
No,
It's gotta be
no. What's his favourite Christmas movie? And what? There's only one. I mean, I don't know why I'm
It's
asking.
got to
There
be.
is
It's
only
got to
one.
be a Bond movie. It's got to be a
No.
Bond movie.
Oh, do you mean Die Hard?
A John McTiernan film. Every
Yes.
Christmas, I send
Yeah.
Monkey a picture of the opening credits, opening
It's a
title,
Christmas movie.
You know what?
just
You know,
as the
John,
747, just as it lands, and the tires kiss the runway and the smoke comes off, and I pause the TV
I know.
and
if you
send
didn't-
Monkey that shot, and that's
That's
my
lovely.
Christmas card to Monkey every year.
If you didn't send me that, I'd think you were really quite unwell.
Yeah, don't worry, you'll get it on Sunday.
I tell you what I did watch the other day was I watched the Muppet Christmas Carol, which is
Genius.
joyous. It's joyous. It's so good.
I'm going to write it down. I've got to see that one this weekend.
It's just fantastic, isn't it?
That's brilliant. That's a great idea.
What we did this week. Well, I'll start with this one because I've done a fair amount in cars this week. I've probably not driven as many cars as my learned Neil Clifford, but I've driven a few. So I've driven a Yaris. I've driven an M2. I've driven a GR86. I've driven a 911. I've driven about 3 or 4 other cars. I've driven a Polestar. But the one I'm going to tell you about 2 of them. One is because I had to leave the Yaris up at Ian Litchfield's, I had to drive home in his this new latest M2 that he's made a bit whizzy and faster.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, I talk about Litchfield a lot because he's just one of my heroes. When you meet the man, he just calms you down. He's just one of life's good things. And I as I drove out of the gate, and he told me it had a bit of power and it wasn't finished yet. I phoned him, as I always do, and just said, "What on earth is going on with the power of this car?" And he went, "Well, it's got about 650-ish. That's amp in an M2." And he hadn't mapped any of the torque in the gears, which is giving me everything the whole time. There's something about, and I think I messaged you guys with this, there's something about a car with a naughty amount of power that just wakes you up and reminds you why you love driving and why you love all this shit, because it's just exciting. And it's the point at which all of your other mates that think they love cars would go, "Had enough of that." But you're going, "I want to stay in this for another 10 minutes."
Yeah.
So I absolutely loved that. It made me feel alive and awake. And yesterday we filmed the GR86. I'm only about 14 months late to this car. I tell you what, people, I give you one phrase. It is a pound shop GT3 Touring, that car. That's exactly what it is.
Wow.
It's a wonderful thing. It reminds you that Toyota, this faceless corporation, makes 2 cars. It makes the Yaris GR and it makes the GR86, which frankly shame so many car makers that purport to be the friend of the enthusiast.
Really?
Good old Toyota, honestly, fair play. That thing is alive. So do you know what? I couldn't have had a better week with cars before the Christmas break. I am a happy boy. Next person.
You've
I
taken it all
didn't
for
drive.
us.
No, I haven't. Edward, what's your week with the cars been at all?
Well, I'm pretty much nothing compared to yours, by the way. Can we borrow the M2 so we can all give our own journalistic opinion on the M2? Ian Litchfield, get in touch.
You better drive it last, Edward, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really haven't done much. We did have a nice little gathering at Regent's Park. We did a last coffee run of the year where we had 60 friends and customers turn up, which was very nice. And I threw the poodles in the Speedster, took the roof off, and went for a little drive in central London at 20 miles an hour on Sunday morning.
It's actually quite a nice day. Was it?
It was.
It got a bit cold whilst we were there, but it was a nice day. Nice
Can
enough
you
to
also
get the roof.
confirm the greatness of your Speedster is it's a Porsche designed to go around the Nürburgring and other stuff, but it's actually a lovely thing at 20 miles an hour as well.
Yeah,
it is.
That's the clever thing about those cars. Neil Clifford, how many cars have you not driven in the last week?
I've been bloody working, so I've been very boring. I've also been as sick as a dog because I sort of don't like Christmas and my body decides to make me ill at the same time. So I've been, as a number of people have noted on the comments, I've been living in cars for about 3 weeks. My wife hasn't chucked me out yet. I'm sure she will when I'm like disappointed with the Christmas presents because I wanted the better book and not that one or whatever it is. Bless her. Chris is dead right about that. I spent Sunday, as you do on a Sunday when you have lots of old cars, shitty old things, putting C-Tech battery clippers on the battery and trying to move around because you don't have enough trickle chargers. You know, there was an episode of this in Alan Clark's book actually about the grim winter months when you're just trying to spend your time keeping every car alive and all the batteries have basically died. I did lend a car to a good friend who wanted it in a magazine, and the battery died on that, so he had to fit a new bloody battery the minute he came and picked it up. So it's all been about batteries, work, flu, and generally looking forward to bloody January. I like
And
January.
is C-Tech a brand that you trust, Neil?
I trust C-Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I do trust
Do you
them.
have in your C-Tex, do you have the terminals of the charger bolted on and fixed to the battery terminals? So you've got the single socket fixing. Is that how you do it? You don't have the bulldog crocodile clip things.
Well, I do have I've a mixture of bulldog and connected. I'm not organized enough to be all connected. So it's all a bit of a bloody shambles, the whole thing, frankly.
What is the best way to extend the battery life or the health of a battery? Is it to turn it off completely, or is it to keep?
No, you've got to use it.
Use it.
Not disconnect it.
Keep it trickled. Keep it trickled.
Yeah,
I'm
one of those conditioner things which it draws down a bit and goes back up again, and it basically it's like going to sort of the early evening Pilates class for a battery. I think it's not too strenuous. There's none of those bikes or anything there or big weights to pick up. Just a little bit of light Pilates for a battery. That's how I think those good trickle charges are. A little bit up, a little bit down.
I'm just making myself a cup of tea.
Have a nice one, yeah.
Nice. Make me a hot lemon.
What have you done this week, Chris?
He just actually walked off the podcast to make himself a cup of tea.
He has, yes, yeah.
I'm going to get to what I did with cars this week, but I meant to mention this with sort of presents for addicts. And again, this is an instructional service. This book here,
Racing in the Rain.
Racing in the Rain.
Oh, yes.
Basically,
I've got that.
It's a good book, isn't it?
Really good.
I defy any addict to receive this book and think, do you know what, I wanted the proper one instead. This is the proper one.
But what genius of a relative or loved one would honestly find that book for you?
They wouldn't.
They wouldn't. They'd get
Lynn
you.
found
They'd
it
go to
for me.
Waterstones, and they'd get whatever the best in there is.
No. Lynn found it for me because
You
I
told
like this new interactive podcast. Oh, is that where the safe is?
because
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here we go. We've seen that too many times. We've seen that
I
several
haven't seen
times.
that on here.
We have.
So Lynn said, that's you.
Yeah.
That's a golf car. I'm going to look for a book about other golf cars. It's not impossible, Monkey.
I know, but
did.
maybe it supports your choice of wife when you're making us all feel inadequate here. But Lynn,
one.
genius.
The other one is that one.
Oh,
That's good. That
Why have you bought
Racing
all
in the Rain's
Christmas
better.
presents early? Why have you got your Christmas early? Is it some sort? Is it different?
These are
time?
last year's, because usually these are the books that go under my laptop to make it the right height for doing a podcast. So today I've got
Exactly the same.
exactly, yeah.
oh,
Today I've got a box of screen wipes underneath my laptop, which is not as exciting. Actually, I've got a Michael Schumacher book, which I don't really like. So this weekend, so I had a couple of things actually. I had the lovely Charlie round today to clean some cars, and when I came back today, there were in my garage some clean cars, and I can't tell you the enormous sense of well-being I had when I opened the garage door, turned the lights on, and there were clean cars in the garage.
Oh,
That was a lovely feeling of loveliness. And
Charlie's coming Christmas Eve.
so these are the things I put my there's a reason for this. So this is my thing for my microphone to get it above the computer. So there's an old Lucid book that I think Edward and I were given when we went over to see them. This is the one that you'll like though. So I got given 2 early copies of this. That's one there. This is the one that I was given as a dummy. Now, this one looks a bit thicker. When you open it, you'll see it's a copy of Denise Van Outen's book, but they just wrapped with my cover on
A
it.
bit of me.
That must be worth more.
So
I tell you what.
That's officially the first copy of my book. It's actually Denise Van Outen's story.
with your face wrapped around Denise Van Outen.
It's the closest I'm going to get to that situation. There we go.
I would pay good money for Denise Van Outen to read your book.
Yeah, I don't think she'd find it very. I don't think anyone would find it.
Oh,
very
we
funny,
would.
but she would.
So actually,
Right.
so last thing I'll say about my week with cars is actually going to happen tomorrow. So tomorrow, I'm going to I'll take some photographs and show it with you. I'm going to a little racing team down in Dorchester that goes by the lovely 1960s name of Dorset Racing.
Oh yeah.
The little brother and sister team, Ellie and Jack. And they run sort of some old classic cars and racing. And I'm hoping they're going to run my Mini, the one Mini I bought on Collecting Cars.
Yeah.
The FIA Race Mini, which we've tried once, the boys and I. We tried it at a Goodwood track day with Swift Tune. And it was just the best fun, more fun than I thought a front-wheel drive car could be. So I can't really run it because we've already agreed I can't really do spannering. So a friend of mine, Roger, said, try Dorset Racing. So tomorrow, I'm going to see the lovely people at Dorset Racing. They're having their Christmas do tonight, so they might be helpfully semi-repaired tomorrow.
Lovely.
And I'm going to have a lovely drive through North Hampshire and then a bit of Wiltshire and then Dorset to see them tomorrow. And hopefully gift them in the new year my Swift Tune bought on Collecting Cars. Get yours there next year. Racing Mini, and that will be mine.
In what car do you intend to undertake this journey?
That's a good question. It's a good question. I think that both the boys and I will go. So it might have to be by sausage. It might have to be by sausage.
By the way, to anyone that's not a regular listener, sausage is Neil Clifford's code for a Panamera Sport Turismo because he thinks it looks like a sausage. We happen to think it's the best looking Porsche non-911 ever made.
I'm not saying sausages are ugly.
I like sausages.
We
Sausages
know.
are good.
Especially a bratwurst as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, Manish,
So-
what have you done with cars this week or anything else?
So, tiny bilateral. As you know, I'm still looking for my 456M GT. Now, if you remember, a couple of months ago, maybe not quite that long ago, I shared a link with you about my perfect car. Everything about this is perfect. It's in Switzerland. It's about 10 minutes outside Zurich. It's navy blue. It's got the dark tan leather, 15,000 miles. That's it. It's just mint. It's a manual. It's the M. The only thing is it's left-hand drive, and I've been a bit nervous about this. Now, I decided this week that I'd made this TV show about one of the great car dealers of our lifetime, and it wasn't Lovett Sr. So what I did was I sent Bernie a link to it, which you have to do circuitously because he doesn't do email. And I called him up and I said, could you do me a favor? He said, what do you want? I said, can you check this car out for me? Check out the link. Tell me what you think of the car. Let's have a chat. So I gave him a call and he said, it's a bit pricey. He thought it was a bit pricey.
Bit pricey, son.
Bit pricey, but he said he bought many years ago Slavica, the non-M version of this in very dark green.
What, the non-M version of Slavica?
No, the non-M version of the 456.
No, sorry.
And he bought her a manual and she didn't want it, so he sent it back to Ferrari, gave Luca Montezemolo a call and said, "Can you convert it into an automatic?"
What?
Oh.
Yes. So he knows the car. He knows it very well. So this is what I did. I am going to go out to Switzerland in the new year, depending on Mr. E's availability. And we are going to go and check this car out. And then he's going to try to do a deal for me.
Can you
this
imagine
car.
the dealer when he walks through the door?
Oh,
Yeah.
you just shit yourself, give it to him for free and run away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be something like that. I mean, the only thing is I told him that Did you know there's a 20% import duty on
Yeah.
What year is it?
Not now. There's not.
2002 Swiss.
There would be. Yeah.
Yeah. So he said to me, "Are you sure there's duty on that car?" And I said, "Yes." I checked the HMRC webpage. Then I realized what had come out of my mouth in context there. So I have hopefully set myself up in January or February, assuming the car's still there. He thinks it's good. He doesn't think I'd get something quite that good for the money in the UK. He thinks it's about as good as he's ever seen one.
I think you'll get it. I mean, the import duty on that is a rounding error for Bernie, isn't it? Really?
Yes. No. Unfortunately, I have to pay for it. This isn't going to be gifted to me. It is like, Bernie, can you check this car out? And would you mind buying it for me? It is Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
And it works like
Bernie might have, inadvertently just left a small loaded handgun in his luggage again. I mean, that happens all the time to me.
It's like, I want this car.
And he might open his briefcase and it falls out on the dealership floor.
I
is that my backup gun?
If this podcast was The Hobbit leaning into the Lord of the Rings, that maybe actually the ring and the resolution of our story together as addicts is actually Manish buying a 456 GTM, or MGT. So maybe we have to agree that the day that he turns up with it, we will stop.
That's it.
We've done it.
No,
we've reached our end point.
Yeah, we've reached the rainbow.
Yeah,
Just think about that, Manish.
Think
about that.
Think about that. You look at that yellow brick road and then have a think about it. Now, so we've done. Where are we? Everyone's covered that. That's good. Right, here we go. Right, we're going to move outside motor cars for a minute. We don't do that very often, but I think we should do it more often. What machine, other than a car, would you most like to drive or control? This could run and run and run. I'm going to get my cards ready because I've said one machine. Chris Cooper, I suspect, will have at least 7. Over to you, Mr. C.
Just show me the card now. Go on, wave it. Wave it. Fuck it, get it over with. Get it over with. Okay, so the machines I wouldn't like to control because I get really show me in the rules where you can't do that. You'd love to fly a fighter jet, but I just know, that bit where, call sign Maverick, no, call sign vomiting Muppet. In my case, I'd love to do the F-35, Lightning II off the deck of the Queen Elizabeth. I'd just vomit everywhere. I'd have tummy ache, monkey, just to reassure you. You're telling that story, never. Same with Spitfire. I'd love to fly a Spitfire, but I just think no. I get really vommy. I just think I wouldn't. I'd like the idea of it.
Are you going to name everyone else's choices, and then say the one you want, just so you know you've covered it?
No, the one I would pick.
I think that's what he's doing.
I would pick
cigarette.
No, close. No.
Is it a reefer?
No.
Manish.
What is it?
Offshore powerboat.
It's from America.
What's it called?
It's an Outer Limits SV50 powerboat.
You wouldn't throw up in that. You just would not throw up in that on a choppy ocean.
You could go for the class 1.
What will she do?
165, 170 miles an hour.
Oh,
I remember growing up and being, I can't remember, in south of France or something like that, and hearing a cigarette go past you was just the most cool thing.
So this thing, you would probably have, so there's only one power plant, and it's from America as well, Mercury Racing, inboard engines. Twin 13 litres, probably. 1650 horsepower each.
Are you throttles or steering?
That's a very good question. Both. Come on. Come on, both. Although I think actually it's the throttles that is the greater. Steve Curtis, who some of you might have heard of. Steve Curtis is the throttle man. Because in theory, the steering's quite easy because you point where you want to go. But I think a bit of both is where it's at. A bit of that and a bit of that is where it's at. So I'd have an Outer Limits SV50 powerboat, twin Mercury Racing, 1650 horsepower, 13 litres, flat water, qualifying trim, special brew petrol, not available at the pumps. 165, 170 miles an hour. The class one, the catamaran ones, they're just going to kill you. They're just going to kill you. You know, you'll be light to medium death every time you take it out of the dock. So one of those, single hull, big deep V, escape hatch in the top. There's somebody down in Falmouth. There was an offshore power race this autumn in Falmouth. And somebody down there has got a big V8 thing with an escape hatch. It's not like that. It sort of does about 120, 130. But the noise, obviously it only goes out when they go testing. Like we go to Brands Hatch or Donington. They go out in Falmouth Bay. Usually when it's flat, not much wind. So the whole of the Western Atlantic can sort of hear it. The noise is to die for. So I would love to pilot and control an Outer Limits SV50.
Very cool.
Neil Clifford.
We do need to do our podcast in a Riva in 2024, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Who might have a Riva that we know?
I know someone. I
know someone.
Can we do it on Lago di Como, please?
Yes.
It's more like Le Lake de Thames
Or, yeah.
Lago de Thames.
Yeah.
in Hurley.
Yeah.
We could try and do
Marlow.
that. Yeah, we could
Lago
try and do
Marlow.
that. A thing that's been on my to-do list for about 7 years, if I look back. So I've got my little goals in my little notes in Apple, in my notes. And it's depressing when you look back through the last 7 years and the same things reoccur often. One of them is gliding. I would really like to do gliding in a Thomas Crown Affair yellow glider.
With Rene Russo?
If that's his name, yes.
That's her name.
You've got to be below 100. As long as it's not Renee and Renata.
It's your story, whatever you want.
Yeah. No, if you know, that movie is one of my most gorgeous movies for obvious reasons.
Isn't that a lovely movie? That
is, yeah.
Because you've seen her, sorry, Rene Russo, that is, in other things, and you think, oh, she's a very good actress. But in that film,
I mean, McQueen's more gorgeous.
It's better. But do you think the McQueen one's better than the second one?
Oh, of course.
I do, yeah.
I think the second one runs it very close.
So do
No,
I.
no, definitely. Oh my God, it's the best reinvented movie. But that sequence where they play chess, it is somewhat delicious in the first one.
It's fair to say I refuse to watch the second one, so I don't know why I'm saying the second one's shit, but I've decided it's shit, but I've never seen it.
I have to say,
really isn't
watch
bad.
it in
That's
private.
cool, actually.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But McQueen in that double-breasted suit in the two-door Bentley, I mean, that's peak man, really.
Yeah.
But that yellow glider, I would. That's that. I'm gonna before I die. I'm gonna fucking fly a glider.
Okay.
It's funny. So we moved house a couple of weeks ago, and for the last 5 houses I've lived in, we've taken boxes of DVDs with us and never opened the boxes. Clearly, and I've decided to keep 10 DVDs. Everything else, because I know I can stream them, but that is one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the second one.
And that's the other one.
That's a terrible film. That's a terrible film. It's a terrible film, but I don't think I've ever seen that come up on Netflix or anything like that. I think
There's a reason for that.
When he's looking in the mirror,
I need my Volvo fix.
When he's looking in the mirror trying to define his South African accent is one of the funniest scenes, inadvertently funny scenes ever. Do you remember that?
Russian? Is it South African or is he?
I don't know. He's running through this incredible gamut of accents he's got, none of which are any better than me shit-faced in the pub. Terrible. Right. Manish, you're next.
Well, I mean, Chris Cooper can puke as much as he likes in one of these, but I was put on Earth to fly a Lightning. That was what I was really put on Earth to do. Unfortunately, when I was doing my A-levels, my eyesight went a little bit and I wasn't allowed to join the RAF. And that was literally like cutting both my feet off. I mean, I ended up taking a year off, feeling completely despondent about the world because there's just something so purposeful about that plane.
Yeah.
Everything about it is just purposeful. There's no, you know how much I love my aesthetics, but even I can't use the word beautiful to describe it. It's a missile with truncated hornet's wings, isn't it? And basically a little isosceles triangle just at the back. That's all it is. That's a tail.
Yeah.
It's nothing. And you're sitting on it.
It's beautiful.
And it's just unbelievable. And I read a book that a Lightning pilot wrote. There were these. It's a series. You know, you can read about sort of being a Hunter pilot, Lightning pilot, Phantom pilot. And what was sort of so incredible about this was the idea that it was the autonomy. It's just not a two-seater plane. And, you know, I love teams, but I think there's something about Formula One. There's something about a single-seat fighter. And it's just you on your own. And those pilots, the Lightning pilots especially, were so bright, really intelligent men, because they had to do their own avionics. They had to work out the best angles of this and that. And then they had to fire their 2 missiles. And the thing that I remember reading about it, saying that they kind of all knew they were living a slight lie as well, because they had to be able to scramble and get up in the air in 6 minutes or whatever it was. So they slept in bunks in the hangar, you know. So the whole idea was, you know, beep, beep, beep in the plane up. And you were supposed to take these sort of Russian bombers out, in theory, or Russian fighters if they sent them in advance. But you had can you remember the name of the missiles? They sat over the wings rather than under. And they pointed out, you basically got up, you fired your 2 missiles, you went, oh shit, we've got to get back down for the RAF to save England. We've got to get down, put 2 new missiles on, come back up in 3 minutes. I mean, the whole attack plan was a complete joke, but my God, those guys had fun. And I remember
English Electric, that's the brand I'd trust.
English Electric. I agree.
It sort of completely understates, because they obviously made the Canberra,
Yes.
however you want to pronounce it.
Yes.
But on paper, they make toasty machines, something like that, don't they? On paper,
yeah.
think that's
But when you
what they do
see
now.
what they produce, do you think there are any? Because for a while, up until a few years ago, you could go to South Africa.
no, they're done. There's nothing left now.
Is that all gone?
No.
Are there any?
The South African one shunted, and that was it.
I think
That's
I've
they're
got a
done.
1 minute
for
story.
Mark,
I've got a 1 minute story on a Lightning pilot.
Go on.
Go on.
So I took my son to Monaco Classic, and we bought Ponzi seats on a little boat, not a big boat, but a little boat, where you can therefore be on the water watching the Classic. And I had a mate racing in it, and I was on there early, of course, with my little coffee and croissant. And this most beautiful, beautiful man walked up, in his 70s, called Martin Pitt, and Martin, very low key, with a beautiful sort of summer hat on and a blazer and a tie, gorgeous. And we sat down and said, "Oh, how are you? We'll have a coffee." And I said, we got talking. And I said, "Well, what did you do, Martin?" "Oh, I was a Lightning pilot. And then I was the captain of the Lightnings. And then I moved on to be a test pilot for Vulcan.
Oh,
And then I was a captain of the Vulcans. And then I did all of the experimental work to get the refueling back working on the Falklands. And then I went and flew 737s and 757s. And now Martin Pitt today, because I went to visit him, he lives up in Shropshire. We went and had a lovely ploughman's, just because I thought he was just the most gorgeous man, and I wanted to learn more about Vulcans and Lightnings. So I went up and bought him a lovely ploughman's, and we're playing tennis in the summer. He's coming down to me, and we're going to play tennis. And
fantastic!
It's just meeting these people. I
think we need to meet them. We said this at the weekend. We need to meet them while they're still around. Monkey, I think you've met Lucy, my brother's wife. Her father, Jeffrey, was the wing commander or the RAF commander on Ascension Island for Operation Black Buck, which was that operation to send a Vulcan over the Port Stanley airfield.
What's Roland White's book called again?
Oh, God.
You've got to read that book, the story of that. I'll look it
I
up
know.
now.
It is Operation,
plane, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Operation Black Buck.
It's the number of the squadron.
It's the number of, I think it's
657 or something. Yeah,
it's the tail number of the Vulcan
that Vulcan that drops the
it is. Yeah,
dropped that. And he told me a story about, because he was a Victor navigator or engineer before Polaris. So when it had blue streak, or when the nuclear force was the V bombers, that's why the Valiant, Victor, and Vulcan were the nuclear deterrent delivery force for the UK.
Vulcan 607. Everyone go and buy Vulcan 607. Right?
That's the one.
Yeah,
and because they obviously knew they were all painted this anti-flash white rather than the camo the Vulcans were, the Falcons wore, because they were going to go stratospherically high. And they were all equipped with and issued with an eye patch. And the eye patch was, if you were going to take off, then you probably knew if you actually took off, there wouldn't be a runway to come back to. But to make sure you could still see, because obviously the nuclear flash would blind you, they all had to wear an eye patch. Yeah. I said to him, my brother will correct me if I got this wrong. I said, Jeffrey, how many times did you get in the plane with your eye patch? And he said, I got in the plane 3 times. Were you ever rolling? He said, we were rolling once. We were on the runway, not a V1, but rolling with my eye patch before we got called back.
Mm-hmm.
Just extraordinary people. The guy, so we said it to you at the weekend, Manish, because it's now 20 years since the last Concorde landed at Filton. And there was that lovely clip about the Concorde pilot who's now an ambassador down at the Filton Museum. It was everything that's great about Britain, everything that's great about British engineering and aviation heritage and leadership. We need to enjoy these people while they're still here.
Can we agree that next year, assuming we're still doing this and Manish hasn't bought a 456 MGT, we will have an Addicts dinner underneath the wings.
Totally. Yeah.
We'll find a way. We won't charge you much money for it. In fact, we might even give it for free because we're generous like that. And we'll make sure that we sit down there and we'll get. I know 2 local people to here that were involved in Concorde, and we'll get them along and tell some stories, because that would be wonderful.
Perfect.
It would be wonderful. And you know, Martin Pitt. Let's close the door on Martin Pitt. 20 seconds. He lives in Shrewsbury. Lovely ploughman's, and he runs a Vulcan. What's the thing with the when you fly the bloody things?
Preservation Society?
No, but you go in the Vulcan
simulator.
A simulator. There's one Vulcan simulator.
Wow.
Just north of Manchester, and these guys approached him and said, "Look, we've got this Vulcan simulator. Would you come and run it for us? Because you know how to fly the bloody thing." So 4 days a week, he drives up from Shrewsbury, south of Manchester, and runs this Vulcan simulator. And I need to do that as well.
That would be fantastic. Can we all go? Can we go make a trip?
I'll organise it.
I'd love to do that.
I'm so in.
So we've done Chris Cooper, we've done Manish, we've done Edward. What would you like to do?
What you've just told the most beautiful stories, and the first thing I've got written on my piece of paper here is a demolition ball thingy.
But do you know what? That's the beauty of this, because I'd love to have a go on one of those. Because in Withnail, when it cuts to that ball going through the wall, I always think, I want to do that.
Look at all this hideousness.
Edward, there is no shame in that whatsoever.
We're all jealous.
What's the bloody thing called?
Wrecking ball.
A wrecking ball. Well, demolition ball thingy is what I'm going to call it from now on.
Can I also ask what would you like to aim it at?
That's a good question.
Tesla.
I could think of a few car dealerships to flatten.
Name names.
I did also write down here that I think I still need to master the motor car before I learn to control anything else.
Self-deprecating to the
left. I hope someone's going to say helicopter here.
Do you know what? I'm not going to say a helicopter. So we've done. Manish has been. Neil Clifford, have you actually been, or did you just tell a story?
I think I've been.
You have.
Right.
So I'm a bit torn by this. Because for Chris Cooper, I agree with all the reasons that he listed. That the aircraft thing, unless you're really suited to that, the experience is horrible. I've never been in a fast jet, But I've been in those extra 300 stunt planes that are, their wings are G tested.
That's the worst. You can do that.
And I tell you now, it just scares the shit out of you. And actually, when you do that negative G thing, everyone talks about negative G and just says, "Ooh, it's G in reverse." The way they should describe it is, you want to do a poo out of your mouth, and that is not helpful to anyone. That isn't necessary in anyone's life. I tell you that now. When Sir Andy Green took me up in his extra 300, and when this is negative G, I thought, I don't need this. There's nothing about me that needs to be doing this. So all the flying stuff's out. I've raced an F-35 in a film. I've had to work quite closely with the RAF for a day as they did that, and it's an amazing piece of kit, but it ain't for me. I'm sorry, it's beyond me. So I don't hold any great need to be up there. However, I think there's one that has to be answered. And it is, and I hate flying. Everyone knows I hate flying. I'm scared of being up there. But what was it like when you were sitting on top of Saturn V? Someone went, "Here we go, go." I'd quite like to know what it was like when they went, "Go."
Light that candle.
I suspect it grabbed your attention for a while.
Yeah.
The fact that you were pulling 8 Gs, not lateral G, just vertical G, like straight up. I think it still remains the most powerful.
And I think you might find that it might make a poo come out of the correct orifice.
Yeah. But what would it be like? What would it be like to leave the Earth's atmosphere just sitting on that stuff? I don't know.
Just imagine that. You just literally, you get to the moon, you've got a prolapse rectum.
Yeah, I think you would. I think you'd be in tatters. But if you've ever watched, I've tried to describe this. I've watched a little rocket. I've watched the Soyuz go off from Baikonur Cosmodrome, and I think after that there was a very clever person working on the Top Gear crew who told me what fraction of power that had compared to Saturn V, and it was something like. It was 1/100th of the power of Saturn V. Yeah. And I thought to myself, what would that have felt like or sounded like? So there you go.
Have you sat in a top fuel dragster?
Well, do you know what? That's been teed up before, but I had to put my hands up and say I didn't have the skills to drive it. I think you got to respect that stuff. Yeah. Unless you really know what you're doing, you're going to get in trouble.
Would you even know what if you were sat in one? You've got these very odd long steering wheel, haven't you, with your arms out straight?
Yeah, but then you've got you've got to pull the levers. You've got to pop the levers as the gears go straight in.
Anything in the footwell?
Yes, you've got 2 pedals and you've got to shoot.
Yeah,
one of them. The other thing is there a 2-seater experience for that?
There is at Santapod.
No. You got to go over. You got to go to the other side of the.
It's not a top fuel, but I think to start. So it's top fuel dragsters in Europe are anything. It's a Scandinavian dominated thing, and actually a lady person dominated thing. Yeah. Most of the majority of top fuel dragster races in Europe are Scandinavian women.
Okay.
And if you go to Santapod, I can say actually that would be a great Christmas present.
I've never been to Santapod.
So here's a question for my fellow addicts. If we were to arrange the 2-seater drag racing experience and we paid for it and we did a short straw, if we whoever drew the short straw, would you get in it and allow us to film you getting out of it?
No.
Yeah, I'd do it.
I would do it. And I know Cameron and Finley would. We went there. Cara, Cameron's girlfriend, bought us lovely birthday presents boys last year. We went for the European finals, and it goes from the youngest competitors are 6 years old. It's an extraordinary family thing. You got to go there to see it. It's a different kind of way of going motor racing.
I want to see Neil Clipper get out having done a 5-second standing quarter. Oh, come on. I'd donate to charity for that.
The 2-seaters are bloody quick still. Yeah.
I would do it for a laugh, I suppose. But...
Yes. Okay. I'll see if we can arrange it.
So during that, we've had a glider, we've had an offshore powerboat, we've had a Lightning, we've had Saturn V, and we've had a little digger with a metal ball on it.
Miley Cyrus.
Yes. Good video, that.
He's going to be called Miley for the next couple of months, isn't he? So here we go. Okay, we're now going to come on to our 2-car garage, which does have a slightly different twist.
Manish wants to start. He wants to summarise our choices from last week. I think he's got some information he's unearthed.
Oh, okay. There you go, Manish.
Look, I'm very sorry to have missed last week, and I really enjoyed the pod. And I have to say, it's very touching when we've really only ever physically met. I think the audience probably know this, but as a group, I think we met 3 times, literally all of us together as a group. We did a pod together,
3.
a lunch and a dinner, and it's kind of amazing when you're sitting there and people know you better than you know yourself. And that's actually quite terrifying. And I have to say, the first thing is I would have been happy with basically any of those combinations. But what they really made me do was look inside myself a little bit. And so Chris Harris said something very interesting. He said, Manish would have to have a car that Senna had and driven. And it was very interesting that you picked the Audi A4, the R4. You picked RS4. You picked that. But a couple of kind of RS6s, we had a BMW 5 Series. Well, weirdly, there was a little bit of method in my madness with my Audi A4 because in 1993, Senna became the sole importer for Audis in Brazil.
You didn't know that?
Did he?
And his road car was an Audi A4 Avant. He had an Audi A4 Estate, a black one, in fact. And he drove it everywhere because he was the sole importer and he was the best advert for this rather wonderful thing that he was going to import to Brazil. And apparently he made his father cry because he went to his first, when they went to the launch, the fact that Senna had negotiated this deal himself throughout 1993. And his dad was sitting there and he invited his dad along. His dad didn't know. And he'd done this deal all by himself. I was like, Dad, I'm a businessman. We're going to be businessmen together when I retire from motor racing in the next couple of years. And this is my first big thing.
Wow.
And then the other little tiny flip was, I love the way that Neil just went, yeah, Manish has been blacklisted from Ferrari. Fuck it. He's getting Clapton's car. They can have an argument with him, which I thought was really rather wonderful. So, I could have been in that 456, but I really equally could have been in the NSX. And so thank you. It was the most extraordinary. If I had to buy, by the way, the Touring, I think I probably would go BMW. You guys have done your thing on me over the last year. And as I said, I've tried both out. And yes, the Audi kind of felt slightly more, it was a 6 I tried, not the 4. And I have to say, the BMW 5.2i, if I was going to get a Touring, I'll do it. But you've also convinced me that there's no way I should go and buy a new car. I just shouldn't do it. I should go and find something that's got a bit of value that someone's maybe looked at.
I'm just me throwing this out there, Manish.
Yes.
There must be an auction site somewhere where there's a very interesting, completely eclectic range of cars that you could look at and just be inspired. What could that be? I'm trying to think of it. Can't think. It must be out there somewhere.
I think I sometimes walk around with it on my back. I think of 350 something days of this year, I've had it written on me.
Can I just say, Manish, I took a bit of stick last week on your behalf, which I'm very happy to do always, because I suggested that you'd like a McLaren, and that Zach would be very happy with driving McLaren. My colleagues here, and I say this with a heavy heart. My colleagues here all thought that you would not enjoy driving a McLaren, and you might end up in the trees. I thought
you picked a 720, didn't you? You picked a 720. Did. So when we did this film called Heroes, Mika Hakkinen, because Zach loaned him a white 720S, and he turned up at the stately home in this car. And I have to say, I may have to agree with my learned colleagues. I've never been so scared by.
All right, okay, have it your way.
There you go. He tried to stand up for you,
Manager. It's a monster. I couldn't.
That's what happens when you stand up for your friends.
Yeah, 520 Touring vanquish. Perfect.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. And also, I never knew that Ayrton Senna liked understeer. So for me, it's a bit. So here we go.
Only in his estates.
He did.
Right. Have you got it, Chris?
Two-car garage. It's Christmas. Come on. There we go. Right.
Hey!
There we go. The Collecting Addicts podcast has been successful, and the YouTube payout is worth £1 million.
How much?
£1 million. I don't know how that.
This is from someone from the Philippines, so they might be talking a different currency.
Which the five of you have split into £200,000 each. You've decided
Dollars?
to do, well, it says £1 million. It says it's a dollar sign and then the word pounds afterwards. So I'm going with pounds. I think he's trying to anglicize it for us. So we've got £200,000 each. Stop into Cooper. Right. You have decided to do the Collecting Addicts road trip. Using the £200,000, you each have to buy 2 cars, one for the road trip and one to be left to the wives and children. This does sound a little bit old-fashioned in the structure of things, but there we go. We'll go with it. Mr. Harris has to buy for Mr. Clifford. Mr. Clifford has to buy for Mr. Pandey. Mr. Pandey has to buy for Mr. Lovett. Mr. Lovett has to buy for Mr. Cooper. And Mr. Cooper has to buy for Mr. Harris.
Nice.
The car cannot break down during this trip for the 5 friends to enjoy the ordeal. How do you enjoy an ordeal? Have a great holiday, lads, and thank you for this podcast. It's been a therapy for me, John, from the Philippines. One of the most random messages I've ever received, but we love you, John, and we hope you're well. So we're now going to try and sort this conundrum out. We're going to start with Edward Lovett.
Well, by the sounds of it, all 5 of us are in a car together. So I had to think about that. And, that actually, it's a road trip. So I'm getting, it's not going to be a short thing. And, I don't want to be the one in the middle, in the back. That's
where you would be. You're the youngest.
Well, it's not youngest. It's
youngest
quite
always
order.
goes mid at the back.
I'm the most trusted. I surely must be driving or navigating from the passenger seat.
Neither.
Anyway, so I've thought about this. So
Did Edward Lovett say that he's the most trusted?
Yes. This is a fictional
podcast.
So less crashing.
Yes. So, and now I did say I would try and get an Alphard or a Lexus XM in every podcast, but I'll try not to.
Thank you.
I think we're going to have to buy one of those fancy V classes with sort of a TV and wine coolers and things in the back. Chris can drive and the 4 of us can sit in the back and sort of misbehave, and we can rotate, but at least there's space and no one's squashed in the middle seat, because I don't think any of us would enjoy that.
I think I made a television show that was vaguely like this for about 8 years. Does sound familiar to me. I don't know who comes up with these ideas. Right. Edward, and what car are you leaving at home for the sexist wife and children?
Well,
I've left her back at the gaff with a what?
Well, I've been very strict on the budget, and I've stuck to the £200,000. And with the latest depreciation happening across the board on used cars in the UK, I thought a new shape 110 Defender. You could probably pick one of those up now for sub £50,000.
Probably.
So a fancy V class with all the gizmos for 150,000 and then £50,000 worth of 110 Defender. I think she'll be very happy with that.
Yep, there you go. I think it's a solid choice. Manish Pandey.
Well, I feel I've got to know not just Edward Lovett, but the Lovetts over the last year. We've had a sense of...
Be careful where you're going with this.
Well, we're not saying that you're not entitled, Edward, but I think cigar lighters in the back, little bit of air conditioning. Papa, is that my school? And he looks out of the back window and the electric window.
No, they threw you out of that one, son.
Oh, did they? But you can go to that one instead. So here's the thing. So what we had was a little bit of affluence, but we also had an equal measure of authority. And I felt, well, what is a big car that only the Lovetts would own? And Edward would drive the 5 of us in. And I found it. And it's the Mongolian President's ZIL 114. Okay, and if you can.
Oh, the photo's gone. The photo's gone.
No, I thought we don't.
These things are magnificent. Look
Oh,
at that.
This is a 3-ton car available in either 6 or 7 litres.
Yes, that one's
Manish,
actually got 2 cigar lighters in the back.
If you have a look at that back. I mean, no one's 5 of us are going to get into the back of that car. I mean, look at that.
Look at that.
That is quite impressive.
Yes.
Okay, now
Manish, can I send you some of this polyboard for the season 2?
I promise to do this, but I love the air conditioning in Cyrillic letters. Can you see that?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
good.
Brilliant.
You've got cigar lighters, Cyrillic letters. It's just great. 3-ton car. It can go up to 100 miles an hour. But you'll love it. It's armor plated. So if any of the deals, either you or anyone in your kind of wider network have it's just not worked out, doesn't matter. You could have an RPG, that car go ding, like that, and we would just carry on our way.
Perfect.
£140,000. And keeping on the Russian theme, I just thought your wife would love this. This, I think, is just great. The Volga Gaz 24 from 1971. The best thing about these cars are, apparently, they just don't break down. These are Russian cars that just do not break down. And this one's great. It's got a steering wheel and it's got a 3-band radio. And
you haven't met my wife, and I would be single when I returned from the lads' road trip.
I was going to say, Manish.
It won't break down. It won't break. A 4-cylinder inline, 70 horsepower engine, chugging about 2 tons of Soviet steel.
Did you, Manish?
Nothing's gonna go
Did
wrong.
you expend all of your creative and sort of warmth and energy in the 8 wedge-shaped cars for Santa? Because you've left Edward and his poor wife fuck all.
They're safe, they're big, they're authoritarian. Nothing bad happens.
Thank you, Manish. Thank you,
Pleasure.
Santa.
Merry Christmas.
AMG GT.
Right, who's buying for who next?
Neil Clifford next.
I'm buying for Manish. And I've got to know Manish quite well. And my summary of Manish is everything was better in the 70s. And everything needs to be beautiful. And it doesn't really matter if it's not quite practical enough, but it needs to be visually, aesthetically gorgeous. And everything else can be a compromise. But if it's ugly, forget it. Because he's a film director. So everything is through his lens, through his eyes. He lives his life through a magazine, really. So I'll choose the wife and kids car first, because that's a little bit more sort of practical. Because I wasn't really sure what I had to do here. Being dyslexic, I didn't really bloody read it. But anyway, I brought Manish's family a car, even though he's pissing off with us and his posh thing. And you know what? My summary of the family wagon, the best family wagon is a G-Wagon.
Oh,
You can argue as much as you like about Range Rovers, bloody Land Cruisers. The G-Wagon, the new one, probably the G. You don't need siding or the potty noise, but which you haven't.
You've gone. You've gone.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
a
you've
bit
gone.
wobbly.
it was the G.
Yeah, come back. See
What
what?
which one was it, Neil? The G.
Am I back?
Yes.
You're back.
G350.
Okay, G400.
Oh,
Navy blue, tan leather,
yes.
super chic, debadge it. The wife will be happy. You've pissed off with us, but she's got a new G-Wagon, so she's cool. And then for the 70s, 5-seater, in comfort, will never, ever break down. There's only one. It's a Mercedes 450 SEL 6.9.
Yes, it is. That is beautiful.
That's the car. And it will be in green with green leather. Actually,
Can I ask you one question? Can it please be green velour rather than green leather?
Yeah, maybe. Mine was green with green leather, and it's still for sale at a famous dealer near you. But anyway, I should buy it back, but I don't because I've owned it twice already. But anyway, a 450 SEL 6.9. It's so fast for 40 years old. You cannot believe it. It's keep up with everything, and it will never break. You drive it, it will never break. So that's what Matt is driving.
It's such a beautiful car.
Right, I'm going next because normally I go last. I'm buying for Neil Clifford. Now this is tough because obviously I'm dealing with the person that's owned the most, who probably thinks about this more than most people. And actually it's difficult to put oneself in an imaginary scenario because there are no imaginary scenarios for Neil Clifford because he's probably been in them. So
Yeah.
I've got to be pragmatic yet humorous. I've got to be entertaining yet realistic. So I'm going to say, first of all, the road trip car. And I think I'm inside his head now. I've burrowed into his very synapses. And I'm telling you that Neil Clifford is a bit like me on this. He'll acknowledge all the jazz hat and the fun and the emotion of the road trip. But ultimately, there's only one road trip car because a road trip only happens in America because that's the only place to go road tripping because that's where we'd go. And you don't mess about. You get a Chevy Suburban. You have to be in a Suburban, don't you? You've got 3 rows of seating. So when I start squabbling with Edward over the boiled sweets, you can separate and go, you go on the back, you go in the middle. You need separation, you need space, you need world-class air conditioning. That's what you need. You need a Chevy Suburban. Don't cock about. That's what it was designed for.
Lovely,
Do you agree?
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Now, when you've left home, and I'm going to say something both lovely but might get me in trouble as well about you. Okay. I think Neil admits that when he buys cars for his lovely wife, he often buys the car that he wants, that maybe she drives. And that often, you've admitted this on this podcast.
Men would never do such a thing.
So the car that you're going to buy your dear wife to leave behind is a car that you quite fancy for when you come home, but you think she might enjoy in the interim period. It is a used, very last of the first generation, beautiful shape Bentley Mulsanne Speed 6s.
Oh,
yeah. And it's got the correct grille. I'm not going to name the color. You're going to have it. It's going to have a lighter interior, not the dark interior.
Bonato green.
She'll drive around in it. She'll be quite happy. Oh, this is lovely. But the moment you get back, you're going to go, I'm having that. That's what I'm driving.
Bonato green, the same as the Queen's.
Yeah, there you go. That green, and then with a lighter interior. I think for me, you keep that at home. But if you're going to go road tripping, for me, the only car I want to road trip in now at this age is a Chevy Suburban.
Yeah.
Space.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Chris Cooper.
So I've done this differently. So the way I read this,
which one do you want?
We each have to buy 2 cars. I'll have both of them. Fuck it, just chuck them all in. Each have to buy 2 cars, one for the road trip and one for left. So the road trip car was not. I've thought of a road trip car was not necessarily one for everyone to fit in because you each have to buy 2 cars. I thought we each have our own car for the road trip, so we'd have 5 cars.
That is how I read it, and I had to change very quickly.
So luckily, because I've actually chosen 3 cars, I can cover all bases. And actually, Edward, so what did I end up with?
You had a fancy V-Class and a new Defender for the missus.
So you got me a Mercedes V-Class, the car I am on record on this podcast as saying is the worst car or vehicular transport of anything for all time. You mean that?
I know better.
I think he's going to get someone back now.
So, Chris Cooper has to buy for Mr. Chris Harris. So I bought you 3 cars, and I've got 3 cars because.
Tell you what, if I get 3 cars, these are staying in their pouch.
So I know how this works. So when I read it $200,000, I worked that out as £158,000 sterling at today's exchange rate. If in fact everybody else has read it as £200,000, even though it says $200,000.
No, but it says one.
It says he's written the word pounds afterwards. Read it.
Only in the million, not on the 200.
Okay. Anyway, so the 3 cars. I reckon we've already mentioned him once. I reckon because Monkey, you've driven everything. I know what you like and what you don't like. At least I think I do. So I got you 3 things. So the first one would be an Alpine A110 Pure, which we'd taken to Lichfield for some of Mr. Lichfield's finest varietals, applied as refinements to this wonderful car. I was there today, actually, with my Alpine A110. Unfortunately, I was literally in and out the door, so I couldn't ask him to have a go in his 650 million horsepower M2. But I'll be back in the new year, and now you've reminded me that he's got it. Next time I go back, I'm going to ask him, can I try that? So he and his wonderful elves have serviced beautifully my Alpine A110. So I think you would have an A110 Pure, no fripperies, but with some of the finest varietals. I love that word, varietals. Have you seen John Wick 2? When
Yes.
John Wick goes into the armory and Peter Serafinovich is the Why is he waving that thing again? Anyway, Alpine. Second thing.
John Wick. Jesus Christ. I thought we'd get through a year without swearing properly on this podcast.
I've no
Alpine,
idea who he is.
Alpina B5 Touring.
Yes, please. Can you just buy me one of those? I really want one.
It's Christmas. It's Christmas. It's coming. Just be patient.
Who knows someone with a B5 Touring? Who knows someone with a B5 Touring?
Yeah, I know. If only we knew somebody. If only we knew somebody. The third of my two cars.
Yes.
A Mercedes, because it couldn't quite. I think I'd like to get you an S63 cab.
Oh, yeah.
But I think there's more value in an S560 cab.
Because they're even more comfortable, aren't they? They're nearly as fast.
Even more comfortable. They've got slightly nicer wheels and slightly more elegant. And there's one at the moment at the fine purveyor of automobiles, Targa Florio, for about £43,000, £44,000, which is just winking at me something rotten. So
No
as it's Christmas,
ones. I was looking last night. They're all fucking black and silver.
it's black with a cream
Red.
interior.
Why couldn't
I
it
quite
be
like
like
it.
Designo blue or something?
Yeah, exactly. With tan. That doesn't
He's
exist.
so spoiled. I don't like this colour.
It's got nice wheels. It's got nice wheels, and it's got like a cream interior. A bit like a bit like both of my 6 Series convertibles. But that's a story for another day. So I get you 3 cars. 3 cars. Put it away. Alpine, a Litchfield refined A110,
Nice.
B5 Touring, and an S63 or an S560 cab.
That's nice.
Merry Christmas. Merry
Thank you,
Christmas.
thank you very much, Mr. C. I tell you what, I wish you bought all my Christmas presents because I've never had any swag like that. What a great haul. I used to love that phrase. Used for inmates, how do you get on? Very good haul this year, lads. Very good haul. It's one of those things you realise just how rapacious and awful when we were younger. I remember thinking, I had a friend whose parents were divorced, and I remember thinking, lucky bastard gets 2 sets of presents.
Yeah.
Can I just on that? Can I recommend a little Christmas movie for you guys with cars, with just some of the best cars doing some great things? Not Sweeney 1, but Sweeney 2, the movie.
Okay.
The plot is insane. It's a very, very deep piece of filmmaking, actually. It's also got literally some of the best jokes ever written in any film ever. And just check out some of the cars in this.
Manish, be careful, will you? Bloody hell, this is unbelievable. You've teed this up. It better deliver now.
I promise you, one of you will have a testicular torsion laughing at this. It is that good. It's that.
Cooper's been buying Tamiya.
Can I just to keep people thinking about buying me a present?
Yes.
I've already got
Is
that.
that remote control? Is that remote control?
No,
it's remote.
it's not.
They do
I've
one.
already got that, but something like that would be nice.
Okay, I'll
I'll
speak to my friends. Right, we're going to do some music now. So let's start.
Can I go first on this one?
Yes.
Yes, you can, because you've asked so politely. Go on.
So, Whamageddon. We've got to be mindful of Whamageddon.
Yeah.
Everyone know what Whamageddon is?
No.
Something to do with Wham.
Something to do with Wham. So Whamageddon is a game played by the youth of this country and others, which is how close can you get to Christmas without hearing Last Christmas by Wham?
Oh.
Whamageddon. A couple of weeks ago at a footballing fixture, the stadium announcer in his little Christmas halftime tunes thought, I know, I'll play Last Christmas by Wham. And there was huge opprobrium heaped upon this poor soul.
Oh. Because he basically ruined everyone's game.
He ruined everybody.
28,000 young kids.
So because we are lovely souls, can I suggest that none of us suggests Last Christmas by Wham? Otherwise, they'll be Whamagedded.
Yes, but can I suggest one more thing, please? And I have to say this. I'll agree to that, but I need to say that it's my favourite Christmas song.
Is it?
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
I love it. I think it's.
I know. I thought I had to say it.
It's one of the few good things about Christmas for me.
Beautiful
Yeah.
young people throwing snowballs at each other in Stade.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's
It's
impossible.
lovely.
And
It's lovely.
you'd have to listen. There's the pudding version. There's the radio version, which is about 4.5 minutes.
Yeah,
There's the pudding version, get it,
yeah.
which is about 6 minutes,
Yeah.
which I will listen to on Christmas Day.
Can you
Listen
now
to Christmas-
choose your song, please? Because you've just told us what song you can't choose.
There's only one.
Which actually
There's
comes
only
to
one.
it is that.
Because I know we talk about Christmas a lot between us, and I know that I actually quite like Christmas. I'm just a rural simpleton. And I quite like Christmas. And there's nothing says Christmas more, apart from watching Die Hard on Christmas Eve, than watching White Christmas and that wonderful Irving Berlin soundtrack. I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. Bing Crosby, Irving Berlin.
There you go.
That's mine.
There you go. Good choice. Neil Clifford.
Well, one of my favourite songs, which I'm not going to recommend, is actually the Slade one, because you know what, Slade were an underrated band. They got a bit of a bad rap because of the dodgy hair, but you know what? They were a brilliant rock band from wherever, Wolverhampton,
West Bromwich, Wolverhampton, yeah.
Fantastic. But my favourite Slade song is Far, Far Away, because it's so optimistic. I remember hearing that as a kid down in Pompey, and it talks about travel and seeing all these amazing things around the world. And that got me going. It got me going that I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna see all this shit in the world. And that song has stuck with me forever. So it's a bit cheesy, but you know what? It's not. It's just a magnificent song, and I would love to have it on the list. Please.
Lovely.
Good choice.
Very nice.
Manish.
I always find Christmas a little bit kind of beautiful and sad. That's probably a good way of putting it. And I think it's a perfect piece of music for Christmas. You can look at a Christmas tree and listen to this, or you can look out of the window on a snowy day, a sunny day, a rainy day. And it's by Eric Satie, and it's the first Noisienne number 1. It's beautiful, really beautiful. 2 minutes of piano perfection. And it will touch your heart. It will touch your heart.
It always comes up with stuff I've never bloody heard of.
Yeah, exactly.
Edward
spell
Lovett.
that.
Exactly.
I'd written something and I've changed it because you all got very Christmassy. And I very quickly Googled then artists that have passed away in 2023.
Oh no!
Which I don't want to be somber. However, the first one it brought up, which deserves it, is Tony Bennett and Wonderland.
Big tone.
Yeah.
Yes. So I interrupted. Winter Wonderland.
Winter Wonderland. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Tony Bennett.
Nice.
So I'm not a massive fan of the old Crimbo, if I'm honest with you, but I love seeing children being happy and people being nicer to each other than they are otherwise, which I find a bit odd. You don't see why you can't be nice the rest of the year. But someone might have read in my book, I was educated in a really scary looking Victorian institution. And one of the main things about those places, and I did love it there, one of the main things about those places is you have a thing called a chapel. And that chapel is a massive over the top building in which you all stand around pretending, but without realizing you're pretending you're in Harry Potter movie. So you've got wooden paneled walls and massive Gothic splendor, and it's a best place to belt out hymns and carols. So the best thing about it was carols, because a Christmas carol is a great thing. Now there are lots of obvious Christmas carols, and anyone that doesn't like yelling "Hark the Herald Angels Sing" at their mates, it probably isn't my friend.
Isn't our friend.
I love all that stuff, but there's a really quirky carol, and I'm not even sure you can find a recording of it. It's called, slightly ironically, given what Chris Cooper was saying earlier, the Dorset Carol. And it's a really gorgeous piece of music, and anyone that went to my school will know that it's quite special. Begins, "From heaven the Son of God descends and takes the form of man." And it's a really, really brilliant piece of music. I don't know who wrote it, and we used to sing it every year at school, and it would bring a tear to this deeply agnostic eye. So that's the great thing, the utter hypocrisy of belting these hymns out and not really getting any of it. But I did love singing carols. I thought it was a
Yeah.
great thing. And if you said now there's some carols going on down there, I'd get up and go and sing them. I
Yeah.
think it's great.
Yeah.
So I think on behalf of all the addicts, we want to wish you a very, very Merry Christmas. We're not as curmudgeonly as you think. There's lots of good going on at the moment. And it has been, from my side, an interesting year. And this podcast has contributed to many of the smiles that I've had. I can't thank my co-hosts enough because they've given a huge amount of time because, well, for the love of it. And that's the best reason to do anything. So I want to say thank you to Manish Pandey, to Chris Cooper, and to Neil Clifford, who didn't need to do this, but they did anyway, and to Edward Lovett, who provided the basis for doing it. He didn't need to do it, but he did it anyway. It's been a really, really wonderful ride, and we hope to continue entertaining you in 2024. When you next hear from us, we'll be a little bit heavier and maybe a little bit slower. But thank you for coming along for the ride, and we hope to see you in the new year. Goodbye.
Merry Christmas.